with Zavadoth Bodur. It's time to generate a new character, and this one is going to be an Archaeologist. And the Archaeologist background is in Tomb of Annihilation. If you don't have that book, don't worry. I'll put it up on screen so you can follow along. Otherwise, just listen and roll with it. Here's our random roll guide, and here is our random roll generator. We're going to roll a percentile and determine if we have a female, male, or multi-class character. With a 35, we have a female character who is we're going to roll a d10, 6. A gnome. And now we're going to roll a d10 again to get a forest gnome or a rock gnome with evens or odds respectively. Odds. So we have a female rock gnome who is of the alignment. We're going to use 2 percentiles. 221. Lawful good. Let's see, gnomes are small, so I'm going to put SMOL there. A lawful good female rock gnome. We are going to generate her at level. We will roll a percentile. 67. 67 is level 15. Oh, so close to that level 16 stat bump, huh? Now let's roll a percentile to find out how many of those stat bumps are going to be taken as feats. We rolled a 40. It's all natural. It's just stat bumps for her. 4, 8, 12, almost 16. Unless she's a fighter, but we'll see. Okay. We know her background. It's going to be Archaeologist. And we'll come to that chart soon enough. It's a placeholder. Our Archaeologist is going to be, let's roll the 12-sided die and figure out. We rolled a 2, a bard. A bardiologist. Bards can be College of Lore or College of Valor. I will re-roll the d12. Odds is Lore. Evens is Valor. Odds. We have a College of Lore Archaeologist Bard. Very good. Bright Sisters, yes, they would also be forest gnomes. There you go. There's a couple of your sisters. All right. Now let's determine her physical stats. Gnomes here start at 2 feet 11 inches tall, and we're going to add 2d4 inches to her height. So we're going to add 8 inches. So she is 2 feet 19 inches tall. There we go. 3'7". That same 8 is getting added to her base weight of 35 because the multiplier is simply 1. And so she is 43 pounds. Exotic says a bardiologist, that would be a party with Zavadoth. Perhaps this archaeologist studies ancient music and instruments for charming beasts. We shall see, exotic butts. We shall see. Bard. So yeah, it's a yeah, it's a rock gnome. Yep. I saw some Luke shouted brewer's tools. Now, let's roll the percentile and find out how old she is. We rolled a 23, so she is a young adult. That's column 2. We cross-reference this with gnomes. And the age range for a young adult gnome is between 41 and 120. So we're going to generate an 80-sided die and roll it. All right, so she is 46 years old. A nice young adult at 46. Now, we do not need this character generator any longer. We have our placeholders. So goodbye to that. And hello, to the Archaeologist in the Tomb of Annihilation module. An archaeologist learns about the long-lost and fallen cultures of the past by studying their remains, their bones, their ruins, their surviving masterworks, and their tombs. Those who practice archaeology travel to the far corners of the world to root through crumbled cities and lost dungeons, digging in search of artifacts that might tell the stories of monarchs and high priests, wars, and cataclysms. Our skill proficiencies are going to be history and survival. There we go. Our tool proficiencies are going to be cartographer's tools or navigator's tools. I don't know if it'll matter, but you know what? Let's put that on hold and discover her personality, because her personality might better tell us which tools that she would go on to learn. We'll also get a language of our choice. So gnomes get Gnomish, common, and one other. And one other, which is the language of a choice from Archaeologist. So presumably, whomever she specializes in studying. The equipment that we're going to get: a wooden case containing a map to a ruin or dungeon. So case with map. A bullseye lantern. A miner's pick. Which, if you bat your eyelashes and ask pretty please, maybe your DM would allow that to be a war pick as a weapon. Maybe. I'd come up with a good story for it. Anyway, so a miner's pick, a set of traveler's clothes, a shovel, a 2-person tent. We might have to consider that this is a gnome-sized for saving some weight. And a trinket recovered from a dig site. And a pouch containing 25 gapuz. So, trinket number. And you know what? As we already have Curse of Strahd open, maybe we can give her also a gothic trinket. And that could be a link between her and our warlock character that we just generated. And so lastly was a belt pouch with 25 gold. It pays to be an archaeologist. Fluffy Sheep, best character concept ever. Kill it with fire. Plunder Loot says to Derek, surviving masterworks could very well be musical scripture and instruments. Yes, indeed, Exotic. We had a bit of a... Well, it was a Sunday game. That's an anecdote. I don't need to tell that here. Derek would like some fresh licks at his table soon. Nom, nom, nom. And Butt says, for the additional language, I suppose that depends on how much you want to play into the synergy. Exactly. With Zavadoth. If you want a lot of synergy, perhaps Sylvan. If not, something else, perhaps Deep Speech. I do agree, Exotic. If we were sitting down making these characters and knowing we're going to go on some kind of adventure like this, we may very well consider that as an option. That's a good point to make. Can you stuff a halfling inside a gnome inside a dwarf? Well, yeah, if you remove all the innards and they're just skin suits. Is deep speech the Far Realm speak or Underdark? Deep speech, there is Undercommon. Deep speech could be, I guess a Far Realm there. It might depend. I mean, if you go too deep, part of me was thinking primordial instead of deep speech, but no, that slot is specifically just called primordial. So thank you for answering that. Have a Hal Noir for dinner, said the troll. A Hal Noir. Our feature is historical knowledge. Few archaeologists can resist the lure of an unexplored ruin or dungeon, particularly if such a site is the source of legends or is rumored to contain the treasures and relics of wizards, warlords, or royalty. Some archaeologists plunder for wealth or fame, while others consider it their calling to illuminate the past or keep the world's greatest treasures from falling into the wrong hands. Whatever their motivations, archaeologists combine the qualities of a scrappy historian with the self-made heroism of a treasure-hunting scoundrel. And so whenever you run into a ruin or dungeon, you can correctly ascertain its original purpose and determine its builders, whether those were dwarves, elves, humans, Yuan-Ti, or some other known race. In addition, you can determine the monetary value of art objects more than a century old. Very useful. Looks like whether this week or next, we should be making a fun dungeon for these characters to crawl through. All right, prior to becoming an adventurer, you spent most of your young life crawling around in the dust, pilfering relics of questionable value, etc. This is going to be, what is our signature item, right? We managed to sell a few of our discoveries, earn enough coin to buy proper adventuring gear. You have held onto an item that has great emotional value to you. Roll on the signature item table to see what you have, or choose an item. So we're an archaeologist, and so we would be known as someone the something. Let's roll a d8. 5. Archaeologist, so signature item number 5. Number 5 is a medallion. So we are known for a medallion that we wear that we presumably found somewhere in our backstory and serves some kind of purpose. It's a part of a map. It leads to a treasure. It just looks cool. Something along those lines. So treasure hunter and monster hunter, hunters away, says Exotic Butts. That's right. Music is art, that could work. You must have been busy. I don't see any non-subbed people here. Yes, Diadems, Exotic Butts has been very busy. Been butting in on people's lurking. As a point of pride, I will be the only non-sub. Well, you say that, but hopefully we get these really cool and cute emotes going, and maybe we'll turn you into a believer, Exotic. Oh, Diadems gotcha, Exotic. Haha, you're one of us for a month now. Yep. Gotcha. All right, let's roll up her personality traits. That's 2d8. We rolled 5 and 6. Take a look at the archaeologist personality traits. 5 is, I'm happier in a dusty old tomb than I am in the centers of civilization. This is probably why these two can get along with each other. I mean, it's not that he's not social, but she doesn't want to drag him around and put a lot of pressure on him because she seemingly likes to be alone or just with her nose buried in a ruin somewhere. And number 6, traps don't make me nervous. Period. Idiots who trigger traps make me nervous. All right, so people that she does not have a high intellectual opinion of, will make her nervous to be around. That said, I am glad that we did give Zavadoth at least, a very, a decent intelligence score. She's probably not nervous around him. Yeah, that's quite the word to type out. I don't fault you there, Exotic. Ideal, bond, and flaw. Let's roll 3d6. 2, 6, 4. 2 and a 6 and a 4. Her ideal is as follows. Number 2, greed. I won't risk my life for nothing. I expect some kind of payment. Well then. Zavadoth doesn't value death, but I presume he values life. He may not know how much of it he has, which is why he also enjoys the pleasures of life. But this could be a good link between the two. Alright, her bond is number 6. I hope to bring prestige to a library, a museum, or a university. In fact, let's just roll a d3 and figure out which one. 2. To a museum. And now we did a little bit of world building simply by making a bond that this character shares with an aspect of the world. What's the museum? Where is it? Is she a provider? Is she a curator? A director? What's going on there? And lastly, her flaw, because we are all flawed creatures, is number 4, which states, I have no time for friends or family. I spend every waking moment thinking about and preparing for my next expedition. So a bit of a loner, very busy working woman. So a bachelorette to the end, but she's married to her job, so does it really count? So she might be looking for friendship, or what? Flaws make excellent parts of a person that can be redeemed in some way. And what if our little gnome ends up falling in love with this grizzled middle-aged human, right? He already has a kid. She still has a lot of life ahead of her. And what if they enter into a relationship at some point in time because of the trials and tribulations? It might be uncomfortable for both, and therefore be new ground that they're both exploring equally together, despite them both already being explorers. Of course, we'll have 2 other characters to manufacture as well, so I won't worry too much about jumping the gun on shipping our randomly rolled characters or otherwise, getting too far involved, because we have these other 2 to manufacture, and who knows what'll happen. A music-seum, says Exotic. It fits well with Zavadoth, a recluse who hunts monsters as a way to escape his past, with a workaholic who mostly leaves him be but is useful for his tasks. And she likes the tasks that he gives her. So he pays, she services, and there we go. And both of them are happy. Especially because he can use his power to look through her eyes as she wiggles around everywhere in these ruins. This is such a good personality for a rock gnome too. I am digging this, Fluffy Sheep. I very much am. Is this being a little off? There, now I'm centered. But you are anti-bard. Well, she's at least a college of lore. She will be very skilled, very learned. All right, so we have our personality. We know who she is. We can think about the decisions she makes. We can think about her lifestyle, and we can imagine this 46-year-old rock gnome, probably a bit of a prodigy, not necessarily a child prodigy. But she's very, she's keen, she's skillful, she's scrappy, she's gone out there into the world, and has learned a lot already in her short years. She's 3'7", 43 pounds of exploration and wide-eyed, you know, living the singles life. You know, she has a pretty good paying job, but not a lot of bills. She's not in a relationship, no kids, probably not even a pet. I mean, she has a medallion she likes, but that doesn't really need any upkeep. And so, I mean, she's probably sitting on a pile of money. Look at that, 25 starting gold pieces and all that stuff. Yeah, she's sitting on some money. And, but yet, how much of the world does she still have to learn? Well, there's a lot out there yet. All right. Now, let's go back over to our player's handbook and discover what it's like to be a gnome. Your intelligence score increases by 2, so we're going to float that here. And our size is small. We already have that. Our speed is 25 feet. So 12, 12, 0. We do have dark vision. That'll help her as an archaeologist out to 60 feet. And we do have gnome cunning. We have advantage on all intelligence, wisdom, and charisma saving throws against magic. That'll come in very handy. If we give her a decent dex score, then she's a decent trap avoider. I mean, it says she's not scared of them, but that's probably because she has that layer of protection. Oh, what's that? I triggered a flame jet to pour out of this idol. Oh, well, I'll get advantage on it. Well, I don't know. Flame jet might be dex. You get what I'm saying, though. And our sub-race being a rock gnome. Oops. We have our constitution score increases by 1. And we get Artificer's Lore. Whenever you make an intelligence history check related to magic items, alchemical objects, or technological devices, you can add twice your proficiency bonus instead of any proficiency bonus you normally apply. And with an archaeologist, isn't that cool? That could come in handy perhaps even for some traps, given her unique personality trait and her background overall. So DMs, think about this stuff. There's a lot of implying that this could happen, and if you want it to happen, given the circumstances, the player is making other sacrifices to play a character like this, maybe you'd allow for such a thing. And then lastly, we have Tinker. You have proficiency with Artisan's Tools, Tinker Tools. So tools, Tinker's Tools. Using those tools, you can spend 1 hour. So we can make little devices like clockwork toys, fire starters, and music boxes. These are all excellent things for an archaeologist to be able to make, whether it's a model scale down, or whether it's a little clockwork toy that you can send down a hallway and perhaps trigger traps. Oh no, I'm out 1 gold piece of iron for my little, my little, trundling humanoid that spits sparks out of its mouth as it goes down the hallway. Oh well, I guess I'll just have to make more with my ridiculous wealth. And so why be afraid of traps when she can disable them possibly with her Tinker's Tools? Thieves' Tools and Tinker's Tools, depends on the DM. Again, in this case, she's super specialized. Maybe you'd allow it. Or she'll just trigger all the traps. Because she can send little toddling toys down the hallway. Thus can you imagine this little gnome with a big smug grin on her face? She gets someone to like roll away the boulder to a dungeon, and she just looks down, and all that sort of like stale, death smelling air just pours out. Ah, that's the stuff. Because what are magical or physical traps to someone like her? She has knowledge, and knowledge brings courage. So she may not be a halfling with the courage, with the halfling courage ability, but you know what? She's darn close, and especially for a gnome. Might be more of an educator than an entertainer. I think that's still a shoehorn into bard well enough. Well, yeah, I mean, because they're referred to as colleges, right? People have to teach songs and techniques. She could very well be a lecturer and not just, so she could entertain through speech or through lectures, if she really wished to. Doesn't mean that she doesn't know some ditties. She might have recovered some ancient lyrics, but she's probably not an onstage every night performer. Alternatively, she gets proficiency in investigation 2. Both her and Zavadoth could easily detect traps. Investigation doesn't necessarily always detect traps. It might. It just depends on the circumstances. You might be called to make a perception to look for it. I can imagine this gnome laughing maniacally whilst triggering every trap in a dungeon at once with an army of Tinker Toys. Ha 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 ha! Fluffy Sheep says lots of bards looting tombs recently. Yeah, right? With DJ. Soname, I believe so. That does. I think it has been a while. That does seem familiar. So hey, welcome back, Soname. And it hasn't shown up up here yet, but thank you for the follow. I appreciate that. I hope things have been going well for you. Looting tombs with a loot. X-Cat, that's a good pun. Looting tombs. Looting tombs. That's her. That's the bardic. That's the bardic cry. Who needs Dungeons and Dragons when you can loot in tunes? Or, as Derek says, you do the old loot and scoot. Yep. Campaign's been going pretty well from what I have, from what I can tell. Oh, that's great. I'm so glad, Soname. And you know what? If you're having any troubles or you run into an impasse, you know you can come here or go on our Discord and ask some questions. We'll be happy to help. And if you want to share stories of the cool stuff you've done, please do that too. It's not just about asking questions or seeking mentoring. Tell us what's been going on at your tabletop. Elbrin, keep in mind, as a dungeon creator, you can set traps to have things like specific weight limits before a trap. Yeah. It's an example. A little, you know, like a robot might not set off a poison dart trap or something. But it's, you know, it could be feasible that something could happen. I counter your weight sensors with more Tinker Toys. Triple. Oh, yeah. Yep. All right, so we have our female rock gnome, College of Lore bard, archaeologist, or a bardiologist. And now it is time to build a bard. Everyone likes going to Build-A-Bear, but who wouldn't like to build a bard? Fluffy might not want to because there's some bard aversion. All right, as we're level 15, we have 15 D8 hit dice. That's what a bard's hit dice are, D8. So we're, you know, it's like a medium health bar. We could take a couple hits. Probably don't want to be, you know, front and center, but we can get by. We do have light armor proficiency. We do get some weapon training with simple weapons, hand crossbows, long and short swords, and rapiers. Now, let's say that you did get a whip as your signature item. I would imagine that even if you didn't go Valor, which would give you martial training, I would imagine that even as a lore bard, you could make the case to your DM to allow you proficiency with the whip exclusively. Again, communicate with your DM. Bring this stuff up. Don't be afraid to do so. In fact, you might be enriching the story in the world because of that. Or you two might just think it's funny to have a whip as your signature item, and you just never tell anyone that you're not really good at using it. You just carry it around to look important. All right, dexterity and charisma are our save proficiencies. And we get to choose any 3 skills. Whips in D&D are weak. There's a Thorn Whip, a cantrip is way better. Something like a Sword Dancer, and with variant spells that can use Dance as a somatic. I smell an Indiana Jones reference, and I approve, says Exotic Butts. Don't all archaeologists have whip proficiency? Not all of them. At least not in this D&D version. I'd like to have a variant on Bard that's a dancer. I mean, the somatic could be something like that. Everyone wants their weapon to be better, says Derek. Thematically, you're better off with Thorn Whip than a normal whip. Well, is that thematically better? I mean, I don't know. Thematically better is a lot more objective than subjective, which was we're looking at damage dice. You can probably look up some Dervish class rules from older editions. Yeah. All right, so we need three skill proficiencies. We're gonna get more as a lore bard and, well, in this case, Jill of all trades. But given her personality, let's see. I'm happier in a dusty old tomb than I am in the centers of civilization. Traps don't make me nervous. Idiots who trigger traps make me nervous. That's kind of seems like insight. Greed, I won't risk my life for nothing. I expect some kind of repayment. I hope to bring prestige to a museum. And I have no time for friends or family. I spend every waking moment thinking about and preparing for my next expedition. So she is a bard, but she's not necessarily the most social. I really don't see her taking proficiency in any of the charisma skills. What I do see her taking would probably be perception, right? Since she looks around in ruins. Insight to try and gauge people, especially if she doesn't want to be around people. She can decide to make this very quick because she decides that they're the south end of a northbound mule. And, you know, a part of me wants to give her athletics. Because she may not be strong, but athletics means that she is using her mind to find leverage points. She's using her mind to lift correctly and to make her a little bit more survivable and capable of crawling around in a ruin. Well, she doesn't have to be low charisma. We can. Look, we made a low charisma sorcerer. We gave him a hard cap of 14, and we took him no higher, though we generated him at like 16th level or something. You can make a functioning low charisma bard. Now, for Valor, it would be a little bit easier, I think. Because you can just be more hitty-sorty, like you're an arcane knight or an arcane paladin. College of Lore, you are a little bit more spellcasty. So having a higher charisma would be, I guess, more beneficial. Maybe. I'm ending a lot of my sentences with my sound of my voice going up as a question. Comeliness score. Oh, from first ed. Well, so we can still give her a high charisma. It means her presence, right? Her magic is from herself, and she's a magical person. She imposes her will through her magic on the world around her. Doesn't mean she has to like people or has to get along with them. She can be an accomplished spellcaster that's intrinsic to her training, but not like to be around others. I need to make a backup character for Maddie's game. Not sure if I should go with Shock or Swerves. I'm not sure I understand, Derek. Well, you can have a spellcasting Valor Bard exotic, especially because you can cast your spells through your sword. That's fine. All right, so anyway, 1, 2, 3, 4. We need to get one more skill. I haven't seen any opposition to athletics, so even if she has a low strength score, she can still, you know, kind of climb and do things. So let's give her athletics. We are going to get also a rapier, a longsword, or any simple weapon. We're probably going to go for a rapier. I'm imagining she's going to be a dex bard. Now, you could have a strength bard, even a lore strength bard. That's fine. They could be cool and build them. Rapier seems to be more her style. A diplomat's pack or an entertainer's pack. You could argue with your DM to give you a scholar's pack, probably. That aside, if we're to pick from what we have, we would say a diplomat's pack. A lute or a musical instrument. Oh, and also we get proficiency in three instruments of our choice. You might be able to get away here. Also, if you talk to your DM to either allow for more skills, or if not skills, and I understand why, because lore's going to get even more, languages or tools instead of instruments. If you want to go skills, you can, but that might be getting greedy. Or you better have a darn good reason to offer your DM, which you might have. Don't be afraid to. Just don't expect, don't go in, expecting your DM to cave. But in this case, if we're sticking to what the book says, we're going to get 3 instrument. And you know what? Sometimes having instrument proficiency works. Look at the Goonies. Why, if you didn't take piano lessons, you'd fall into a spiked pit. If you couldn't play the Moonlight Sonata in Resident Evil, you would have died in that mansion. There's no getting past that. So at least you got to learn how to play the piano or the harpsichord. Or I guess what, the organ technically. Soname, target acquired, beep boop, exotic butts, dispensing. My DM hat doesn't think I should allow a player to trade an instrument for a skill, although you might be able to trade it for a tool. Yeah, and I'm glad you chipped in on that, because that's your personal reckoning, and if other DMs say, yeah, I'd allow that, or nah, I probably would allow it to trade 1 for 1 for a tool or a language, or 2 for 1 for something, so you could get 3 instruments, or you could get an instrument and a tool, or an instrument and another language, something along those lines. And Soname, we are going to be uploading some emotes to Twitch sooner than later. And so I'm reckoning within your gifted subscription, you'll get a chance to use those. And I hope that by the time that subscription ends, that you will choose to stay aboard, and we'll be able to continue offering you excellent ideas and motivation, and just a great relaxing outlet for you to think. Exotic. I mean, I don't want you to. I don't want you to be reckless, man. Come on. Apparently, I need to. Apparently, I need to ask Coffee Cat and commission Coffee to make an emote for a Ouijas BTTV. So something like a flaming skull or the like. I'm on board with cost correction here. 3 for 1 skill, 2 for 1 tool, 1 for 1 language. Hey, so there we go. There's more input. Reckless was 10 subs ago. Exotic. Don't force yourself on an all ramen diet for the next several months on my behalf. I'm not worth it, man. You have to savor life. Eat an avocado, a fresh avocado. On toast. I honestly have one foot in Gen X and the other foot in Millennial, given my age. Like, I'm right on that cusp. So, I can go back and forth like that. Chronic selflessness. That sounds like a really... Like, it's a metal band, but it's like a positive, like, uplifting, self-help metal band. So instead of talking about, you know, damnation and, you know, Satan smiting your enemies with bloody axes, you know, it's all about, like, motivation and you can do it lyrics. We are chronic selflessness. And you can too. I don't have the long hair to, you know, get the do. There we go. Soname. Chronic selflessness. We're here to entertain you at a reasonable price. Life is worth nothing if you haven't lived on an all ramen for years. Dang it, another Baptist metal band. Mortification was the last one I was introduced to. Oh, so this is a thing, says Derek. Can you hear us in the back row, you mother lovers? That's right. Give her a Mother's Day card, or else. It is a thing. All right, then. I love learning by being with you all. Yes, you did put a party parrot on my head 3 times? Exotic? I think you put a party parrot on my head at least 3 times. And they play the theme from the Lone Ranger. Hey, oh, and XCat, you finished your Warlock NPC. Spells are important. You might want to do that. Alright, so we have our starting gear. Except some very nice leather armor. And a dagger. Because dagger. Our bard at 15th level. We're going to get all this fun stuff. So, let's fill in our spell slots. 4, 3, 3, 3, 2, 1, 1, 1. We are also going to know 4 cantrips. 1, a 2, a 3, 4. Our proficiency bonus is a +5. And we can get into our features. First up is going to be Bardic Inspiration. We're going to get to use this a number of times equal to our Charisma modifier. And by the time we're level 15, let's see, die becomes a D8 at 5th, 10 at 10, 12 at 15th level. So we, Bardic Inspiration D12. And we'll come back and fill in how many times we can use it. We are going to get Jill of all trades. You can add half your proficiency bonus rounded down to any ability check you make that doesn't already include your proficiency bonus. Next is going to be Song of Rest. That allows us to recover more hit points during our downtime. Because we can tell tales or just create a nice, atmosphere. We will get to our Bardic College. That'll be under our archetype. At 3rd and 10th level, we will get to choose expertise. That is going to allow us to add double our proficiency bonus to skills. Thieves get the option, as written in the rules, to make one of them instead of a skill, Thieves' Tools. You might be able to argue with your DM, well, hopefully not argue, but, Civil or Fluffy or anyone else out there who is a DM, if folks are talking, well, so I have this character, I'm kind of specially built. If a rogue can at least get one of the skills into a set of tools, would I be allowed to take a proficiency in Tinker Tools? And maybe that would allow me to make more or better gadgets, or the proficiency in Tinker Tools would allow for me to disable traps with Tinker Tools. To have a negotiation about the character. To make sure that, you have a fun thematic character that's not really breaking the mechanics of the game and is still in good spirit and fun. All right, so we're going to get expertise on 4 different things here. 1, 2, 3, 4. Next up, we are going to get Font of Inspiration. So we'll get to recover our inspiration on short rests. That's really good. We will also be able to counter charm. Gain the ability to use musical notes or words of power to disrupt mind-influencing effects. As an action, you can start a performance that lasts until the end of your next turn. During that time, you and any friendly creatures within 30 feet of you have advantage on saving throws against being frightened or charmed. A creature must be able to hear you to gain this benefit. The performance ends early if you're incapacitated or silenced, or if you end it voluntarily. And then at 10th level, we're going to get Magical Secrets. You have plundered magical knowledge from a wide spectrum of disciplines. Choose 2 spells from any class, including this one. A spell you choose must be of a level you can cast, as shown on the Bard table, or a cantrip. The chosen spell counts as a Bard spell for you and are included in the number of spells known on the column of the Bard table. You learn 2 additional spells from any class at 14th level and again at 18th. All right, so we are going to end up with 4 extra spells that we can take from anywhere. So there you go. We could list that, but it's really just going to manifest on our spell sheet and be labeled there, so I'm not going to worry about that. And then Superior Inspiration, we're not level 20, so I'm not going to worry about that. Hi, Cat. You're just jamming out on the little bit of desk between me and the keyboard. But he's so happy. So there we go. We have eaten, and there has been a cat on stream. Ladies and gentlemen, this is an official Maddie Morg stream. Yeah, Tinker Tools are a proficiency with rock gnomes, Fluffy Sheep. Why am I drowning in Tinker Toys? Counter Charm is good when bards remember to use it. Yes, XCat. I mean, if you want to spend tool proficiency to use Tinker Tools as some other similar tool, I guess that would be Ohm, or you mean okay? Probably okay. Yeah, there we go. Maddie briefly turned into a cat. I did. Saname, my current dungeon is a fancy mansion in a closed-off land that was infested with beings from the void. The owner of the manor went outside the nation to find someone to clear it out, because the land's knights wouldn't do it. The players' reactions when they realized that the NPC tricked the kitty M was priceless. Saname, I'm not sure I got that. I understood it. Oh, was it the cat butt? Oh, I don't think we had cat butt yet. I'm sorry. So we're almost there. DM dependent, I agree. Trick them, but there was a kitty? Oh, Gotcha. You were typing, you were narrating your thoughts about your dungeon. Suddenly a kitty appeared, interrupted your thought, and you continued. The NPC tricked them, but the cat showed up and... Gotcha. Good touch, and I'm sorry that quality went over my head. Saname, you're good, you. You're good, you. All right, College of Lore. We're gonna get more spells and other things. When you join the College of Lore 3rd level, you gain proficiency with 3 skills of your choice. Well then. We are an adventurer. We are a pirate. She's greedy. She will take, payment and such. I'm going to imagine... I almost want to give her all 3 dex abilities. She's going to have a good knowledge, especially with Jill of all trades. And she'll have a decent intelligence. So I don't know if she, besides history, maybe she didn't necessarily, because there's nothing in her personality that's like, well, I study dinosaurs, and so maybe we'll give her nature because of that. But she's kind of antisocial, has, is knowledgeable about history, and kind of broadly about everything else. Prestige to a museum. And so that's going to involve, getting things and bringing them back, and as well as surviving. So Charisma's kind of out because she's a loner. I think she's going to be doing very well for herself with intelligence. She has the important things that wisdom can offer, and she'll be decent enough with the other 2. So I almost want to say going acrobatics, sleight of hand, and stealth is really going to be the way forward for her. Many marks, so we have the stealthiest warlock ever coupled. You know what? He's not the stealthiest warlock ever. At least he's not as stealthy as he could be. But he is stealthy. And I'm sorry, I messed up here. Warlock ever coupled with what amounts to Mr. Fantastic as a rock gnome, and you go in all on decks. Luke, you want to build a 5e one-shot where we are in the Minecraft universe and we're raiding a woodland mansion, 2 to 3 hour campaign, and one and done? Oh, so you just want to make a dungeon crawl, like a one-shot dungeon crawl? That's not necessarily difficult to do. Elbrin, you think he wants me to make a one-shot? I don't necessarily mind. In 2 to 3 hours, if you only want to run it in 2 to 3 hours, the dungeon is going to have to be... It's going to take a combination of player skill and knowledge, the characters they bring, and the design of the dungeon. Because 2 or 3 hours of playtime isn't a lot. You can certainly run a one-shot in 2 or 3 hours, but it's not going to be the epic dungeon crawl where you start on Friday. You start on Friday night, and you realize that the sun's coming up, but it's Sunday morning, and for some reason there's just a stack of pizza boxes, and and everyone's like, wow, where'd the time go? Simple, light pre-gen characters, nothing heavy. So yeah, especially if you build pre-gen characters and you know the characters that are going to be getting into the adventure, that will be easier. Or not easier, the time won't be as big a concern. Because the tools are there. My sessions are 3 hours long, and a simple dungeon takes 3 sessions. Yes, Saname, I can agree to that. My players went into a mine, and that took 4 or 5 sessions. Yeah, like a very simple 5-room dungeon style, Fluffy. Yeah. That'd be interesting to see using the Minecraft client itself. Yeah, I think you can customize damage output and stuff for skeletons or witches and all that other. Nothing epic. I'm thinking more like 2 to 3 episodes of the show, building everything, then the 4th episode of the show, run it. Oh. Well, I mean, risky. I don't know if that's something you guys want to do on your channel. Oh, by the way, that reminds me. When is that bet over about going to your local watering hole and wanting to run the starter adventure? Has that been done yet? I think we did the mine in 2 sessions, but we had to leave before it was over. Oh, something you want to watch? Okay, risky. I'll see if I can do that this week, and if not this week, I could probably do it next week. I am up for considerations and challenges and other words that don't have to begin with C. Oh, he did. Did he shave? Did he end up shaving? Oh, before you... Yeah. So it wasn't fully explored. Well, you know, so exotic... That... I mean, if it's not every other word, or he's not being super derogatory towards someone, male or female, with it, I'm fine with that. I mean, you could technically get away with an F-bomb or two in a movie, and it's still PG-13. Not that I want to encourage it, but you know what? I enjoy the vigilance, but I'm not gonna go like that to Luke for that. English Mudkip, welcome. It has been a great day. Thank you. I don't know if the word is Luke. It's just, you know, how it's employed. I'm not gonna worry. I'm not gonna worry. He didn't even shave. Oh, Luke. Well, I'll tell you, it was still fun watching you two make that bet. Man, you two bantered hard over it too. The context and mood changes every time someone says something. If I suddenly put hard and fast rules, that means I have to, like, I have to also now play an accounting minigame aside from broadcasting. So, you just want him to shave. I can say that I don't think I've heard of that fruit unless it's another name for something else, Darkness. Oh, but yes, English Mudkip, we are making a Bard Archaeologist. You are welcome to join in, ask questions. You know, if you have tales from your tabletop you want to share, you're welcome to do so. That's a very solid guideline, Luke. That's a solid guideline. You don't have to fret. I mean, if it's coming down to, you know, it's every other word is something, you know, like that, then, you know, come on. Does it have to be? It's really a measure of, if I draw a line in the sand, what is your comfort and your measure of respect for the arbitrary line in the sand? Are you choosing to cross it? Are you choosing to just tiptoe on the side of it? Are you staying well within the bounds? Because look, just like in the shop, all sorts of stuff come up, and you know what? In the middle of a tournament or a draft, people shout, you know, they drop F-bombs or there'll be banter. I don't kick them out of the store because of that. Now, if every other word is F you and F that, and oh, you F'er, you know, even if it's positive, like, oh, you lucky MF'er, oh, you pulled a really effing good card, you F. Okay, I need to ask you not to do that, because if I have a mom and her 10-year-old son coming into the store for the first time, in a wave of F-bombs rolls over them. You know who I just lost? Someone who could have played with them. Someone who could have been friends with these older kids and learned to play the same game that they did, because the mom's not comfortable with the older kids going around dropping F-bombs all the time. And so, similar policy. With the language that goes on in here. Look, we've talked about mature topics in the course of this, and you know what? Sometimes people let an F-bomb drop every now and again. It happens. It's reflexive, and I totally understand that. I'm not here to be the thought police. I'm not here to be a free speech book burner or anything like that. It's just there's the guideline in the sand, and are you going to approach it or, whatever, and go from there. Reveal the recaps. The mine took 3 sessions plus less than half of the 4th. Okay. And yes, English Mudkip, welcome aboard. You will be getting some Medimorgs emotes soon. Trademark. Luke, I think it's probably a bad policy to start regulating language, but the community at a Friday Night Magic would step on that dude and tell him to watch their face. Yeah, I'm not here to regulate language broadly. There's some guidelines of respect that I would like people to follow. I mean, look at the trolls we had earlier. The one I treated respectfully. I mean, you see the name, you're pretty certain you know where this is going. Not all the time, but that's why you give people the benefit of the doubt, and you say, here's the line, are you going to cross it or not? And you are going to prove yourself to be worthy or not worthy. Mjolnir aside. It's less fuss for me, and it allows you to prove who you are, not just to yourself, but to everyone else. It's an elegant, simple system that doesn't turn me into a micromanaging dictator, which I don't want to be. That takes so much effort. And you know what? In the second I slip up, I will be the eternal hypocrite. I'm sure have I ever dropped an F-bomb on camera? Maybe? I might have. I mean, I try not to. I don't normally cuss. I save it for when I'm really angry. Because people know, oh, Matt doesn't cuss. And then suddenly, if I'm at the store or I'm with a group of friends, and I just go, fudge. Well, like in Christmas Story, I didn't say fudge. People stop, and I get their attention because I did something that I don't normally do. Something's wrong. Something's wrong. The lights are flashing. Why did Matt just drop an F-bomb? Or why did he just go into a string of expletives? So in that case, I use it as a tool to get attention in the off case that I need everyone's attention now. No argument. Look at me. I'm communicating. Also, one of the trash cans in my store has a dent in it from my foot. I didn't cuss because I kicked the trash can. Kicking the trash can took the place of a lawn line of expletives on a certain day in the store. And I keep that garbage can as a reminder, so I hopefully never do that again. It's still kind of fun to look at. I'm like, ooh, I put a dent in that sucker. I'm not saying I don't swear. I don't swear often. And I go out of my way to not swear often because when I do swear, I need it to be that emergency button. Look at this. I can rely on a group of role players to Did I say a group of role players? A group of role players to rules lawyer the number of cuss words per unit of time to meet a certain qualification by rules as written and or rules as intended. I love it, and you all are magnificent. That's right, I said it. I said you're magnificent. Why did the lights go off on my keyboard? There we go. I think when I was making a point, I made a point and I hit the button. You have a funny story that involved an obelisk. Now let's see someone who knows what I'm talking about. Is that the one in Tomb of Annihilation? If I start swearing, I'm either drunk or need to get to an ER, says Derek. See? It conveys a message. Speaking of which, you know what? Do you think that our bard here, does she cuss like a sailor, even though she's not a sailor? I mean, I don't know what she cares. If she pinches her finger, you know, she probably does drop some... Look, I'm sure the gnomes, if a race of one of the more common races has some very interesting cuss words, it would be the gnomes. Because they might sound like Ned Flanders, and at the same time, they're going to make you blush. I don't know. Fluffy/Bright, can you confirm or deny this? Well, yeah, so that's just cultural, Butts. Luke uses the F word as a comma. All right, so we're going to get... we're 3. We loaded up on decks. We are also going to get cutting words, which is bardic inspiration. So we're going to call these our C words because we're having fun. We're having fun with that sort of reference. There we go. We can now use our wit to distract, confuse, or otherwise sap the confidence and competence of others. It's a very good spell. We'll get additional magic secrets at level 6. We're going to learn 2 more spells of our choice from any class. And at 14th level, and hey, what do you say? We qualify. We will get Peerless Skill. When you make an ability check, you can expend the use of a Bardic Inspiration. Roll a Bardic Inspiration die and add the number rolled to your ability check. You can choose to do so after you roll the die for the ability check, but before the DM tells you whether you succeed or fail. That is really good. She is very universal in her skills. Even the ones she's not good at, she's still better than you. And she'll probably tell you. And be smarmy about it. There's a vocabulary word for you. Smarmy. All right, there we go. Now, except for our magic, and we're going to wait until we drop in our scores. We have a standard array here to drop in. And in so doing, I think that we should go 15, 14, 12, 13, 12, 13, that's a 10, and this is our 8. Do I want that? That seems good. I don't mind having the floater either. You know, a lot of us, we want those even numbers in our scores to give us that next mod. But I think this can work out pretty well. We have a 15, 14, 13, 12, 10, and 8. So by doing that, we are... Yeah, that works. Let's just roll with it, and we'll fix it in post. Now we get some stat bumps at 4, 8, and 12, and we're almost to 16. None of them were feats, so we get to add 2 points to one ability score, or 1 point to 2, or because we're generating up to this point, we have 6 points that we can put into things. Well, let's round up what we can. 1, 2, 3. 4, 5. And if you ever have a stray point, you could put it in something and take a feat later, because some feats will add just 1 point to something for you. If this is a snapshot of this character and we have 1 point to spare right now, drop it in strength. You get a mechanical benefit from your strength score going up, not just your strength mod. And that's your push, pull, carry, lift, drag, etc. Now, that's still going to give her a -1, and that's fine. 2 dex, 1 con, 2 int, 2 wisdom, and 4 charisma. Although, honestly, I'm on the fence to put her charisma back to 16 and bring her dex up to 16. I don't know. She can take mage armor, technically, as a bard. So it's better than her leather. She could take shield. If she really needed to. My voice is going up. Yeah, so English, I mean, you gave a, stretchy and dexterous. Sure, let's put her charisma back down to 16, and let's bring her dex up to 16. There we go. So yeah, English Mudkip, I mean, earmuffs or eye covers everyone, because English Mudkip does want to tell a story from the Tomb of Annihilation. If you don't want it ruined for you as a player, then you are hereby warned. But you can share your story, Mudkip, if you'd like. Well, I hope you get some good sleep, Exotic. And, I mean, I appreciate you being here. You're contributing to the conversation. Look, the donos and everything aside, which I do appreciate, you've been friendly, you've been conversational, and I very much appreciate that, so thank you. All right. So we have our modifiers. So our strength save is -1, but athletics is coming in at a... Oh, you know what? We need to assign her expertise. She gets expertise in 4 skills. Given she's an archaeologist, I'm going to say history. Happier in a dusty old tomb than in the centers of civilization. Traps don't make me nervous. Idiots who trigger them. Probably sleight of hand for tomb raiding and for detrapping a hallway. 2 more. I think perception is definitely going to be a big one for her, to be able to see and evaluate. And if we didn't take investigation, she kind of has that in the historical knowledge of her background feature, so I'm not too worried about that. The other thing that we could give her, let's see, for things like tracks or finding food and water, probably survival. But something really tickles me about giving her athletics expertise, because she doesn't have a lot of strength, but she must know judo because she knows leverage and all that. And plus, you know, with stealth or sleight of hand, you know, she can be very slick. And if she knows judo, you know, Ju don't know if she has a knife. Ju don't know if she has a hand crossbow. Ju don't know what she has. They can, but we can only take expertise in skills in which we have proficiency already. And we did in history, but the other ones we don't have proficiency. But she will get Jack of all trades, or in this case, Jill of all trades, to help those out. Now, with that, an athletics is going to be a 10. Minus 1, though, is 9. But you know what? She's a short stack, but woo, she can take you down, brother. Step into the squared circle. Expertise is simply double proficiency on something that you already had proficiency on. All right, dexterity. Ooh, she's a tumbler everywhere. Sleight of hand, though, is going to be a 13. Everything else is 8s across the board. Con is 1. Now, this is where Jack of all trades starts into play. We get half our proficiency rounded down to skills in which we are not proficient. That would mean, now, our saving throw is 2. A saving throw is a saving throw. Arcana, however, is going to be a 4, because we have a 2 intelligence modifier, and Jack of all trades, or Jill of all trades, is going to be 2. Until it goes up 1 more at level 17. History, is going to be a 12. Investigation is 4, nature is 4, religion is 4. And with peerless skill, we can add a D12 to any of those rolls. So is she really bad at them? I mean, so on average, that's 6.5. Or 7 if you want to round up. She really bad? She gets to use that 3 times. Whoops, she doesn't have proficiency. She just has a 2. Okay. Wisdom is a 2. No, stop. 2. Animal handling is a 4. Medicine is a 4. Insight is a 7. Survival's a 7, but perception is a 12. That's going to give her a passive perception of 22, ladies and gentlemen. 10 plus your proficiency modifier in that skill. She can hear you talking about her, even though she's kind of sitting over in the corner with her nose in a relic. All right, charisma. Saving throw is going to be 8. Everything else is going to be 5s because we're not proficient, but we do have Jack of all trades. Expertise in acrobatics, then get Zavadoth to throw her. I have a funny story about that, Butts, if you remind me to tell it when we're finished up here. Athletics isn't unreasonable for climbing, crawling around. Yeah, Civil, I agree. Plus, there's something wholesome about a short stack that has the muscles, right? From your group pushing the obelisk, an Alfenshi appears out of it, and the thing is one hell of a fight it's a real slobber knocker. From the past adventures of my group, I was the only person that had any form of magic weapon, so I ended up solo fighting it alone with the rest of my group, buffing or healing me, or almost getting killed by the thing. I was a half-elf monk, so yeah. Glowing fists. That sounded like some emergency party cohesion. Hopefully you all bonded after that. Oh, you're taking off, Luke? Be well, my friend. Thank you for hanging out with us. It's always a pleasure. And hey, give me that recipe so I can brew some beer and I'll stream it, or at least I'll make a video of it. I'll see which one. She can hear colors and smell sounds. Yes, butts. Hearing colors isn't all that weird, says Saname. Now, with this, her initiative, remember, initiative is a dexterity check. Therefore, she does not have proficiency. So she gets the 3, but wait, there's more. She gets the extra 2 off of Jack of all trades because it's a check. Don't forget that if you're playing a bard. Also, there's the champion archetype for fighter that gets to do something like that too. All right, her armor class with leather armor and nothing else. Sounds my. She's going to be rocking a 14 AC. I imagine she has something else, but you know, whatevs. Her hit points. At level 1, you get all 8 of your D8 hit die. The remaining 14 levels is going to be half plus 1, so that's going to be times 5. Then all levels, all 15 of them, you get bonus hit points equal to your Constitution modifier. So, she's a little buff. You know, she can take a tumble. I don't know if she's the tumbled wench per se, but she can take a tumble. So 15 plus 20 plus 70 here. 87 or 78. Oh my. Oh, I'm accidentally cheating myself as the DM. And then we have 88, and then we have 93 hit points as a level 15 bird. After looking up what this pig demon can do, we're lucky that it rolled low and at the start of D100. Ah. Dyskinesia? Like kinetics? Dyskinesia? If she's attacking with a rapier, that's going to be a +8. Same with the dagger. Those are both finesse weapons, meaning we can use dex instead of strength. Rapier is 1d6 +3 piercing. A dagger is 1d4 +3 piercing. There we go. Our spell slots, I mean, we could come back and choose our spells for our warlock and our bard. Now, her spell attack off of Charisma is a +8, thereby giving a save against it a 16. 8 plus your attack is your save. It's like that with everything. It is universal. And as for our expertise, we chose Sleight of Hand. We chose Athletics. We chose Perception. And we chose History. I wonder how many kappas I remember. Don't forget there's a cat one. Is it Kipo? Wow. Yeah, that's yeah, they can do that. That is something to keep in mind, English Mudkip. Yeah, there we go, Saname. And of course, don't forget someone on Twitch every day gets the golden kappa. And so to see if you're the one who gets the golden kappa for the day, you clearly have to spam kappa in chat to make sure you're not the one that gets the secret golden kappa. Alrighty, well. Well. Spellcasting abilities, Charisma, 16 save, plus 8 to hit. We have our Cutting Words, which are D12s. We can do that 3 times because of our Charisma. And we're casting as per Bard. Cantrips, at 15th level we had 4, so 1, a 2, a 3, 4. We had 4, 3, 3, 3, 2, 1, 1, 1. I need no golden kappa, I have my dark mode. Delcorin, are you the one with the golden kappa today? Now, our spells known as a bard are here. I'm going to list what you get at the levels you get them. Between levels, you can technically relearn spells or move spell slots forward, if you wished. So, you go from level 1 to 2. Well, I guess that's not a good one. So, if you are level... you go from level 2 to 3, you can relearn... you could drop one of your level 1 spells and retrain it as a level 2 and still get your second level magic spell that you would get for your progression. I hope that makes sense. I'm not trying to confuse folks, but to keep it simple, if we just stuck with what you get at each level, this is what we're seeing. Level 1, you get 4 spells. If you take a look at that column, 2, 3, 4. At level 2, you get a 5th. And we haven't broken into second level spell slots, so it has to be here. And now we go 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And I'm stopping there for hashtag reasons. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. If you see here, we go from 12 spells known to 14. That is because we get... this is where we can choose 2 spells from any other class. And so we can put... I'll just over here in level 9, I'm going to put... oh, shoot. What was that ability called again? Derp. Magical Secrets. So, I'm going to make MS10. And in fact, College of Lore gives us Magical Secrets at 6th level. So, we also have Magical Secrets at 6. And then we're going to get 2 more Magical Secrets at 14th level. And we can distribute those to any slot that we can learn, including a cantrip if you so wish. All right, so that was level 10. You can see at level 11 we get 1 more, and now we break into 6th level magic. So level 11. At level 12, we're still at 15. See? But we do get a new one at level 13. Which is here. At level 14, you see how we jump from 16 to 18? There you go. And then at 15th level, which is what we're at, this is where we get our guaranteed 8th level spell. And so we have these floaters that we can choose where we want them to go. It's something to consider. So this is what her outlay could look like, unless she wanted to move her spells around as she was leveling up. She doesn't have an animal companion, but you know what? Aside from sitting down and choosing her spells, which we can do, but I want to take a break first. We have two characters that have very interesting personalities, and in their own way, can get along with each other through interesting means. Because we have a character, she needs a name. And so I will be open to taking names for her over the break, or if you have something that you wanted to, you wanted to shout out, I can consider that. But anyway, let's get up, stretch ourselves for like 10 minutes or so, get a drink, use the restroom, get a snack or something. If you have a significant other or a pet or whatever, let them know you care. You don't need Valentine's Day to do that. Every day. Let the people and the creatures in your life know that you care about them. And we'll come back in 10 minutes and I'll continue letting you know I care about you too. Because I do. I'm really grateful to be able to spend time with you.